مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثات بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. قال الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان. صدق الله العظيم. For those who, you don't have to be at work, but anywhere in this country and Western countries, which are Christian predominant countries where they celebrate Christmas, whether it be the US or Australia or New Zealand or England, as the time towards Christmas arrives, as we and as Christians feel like they're getting closer to Christmas, you start hearing them talk about Christmas. Mainly they're talking about gifts. They start planning their gifts, and there's a lot of talk about what are you buying for your husband, what are you buying for your son, and when I'm doing my work and I'm doing my procedures, there's a lot of what are you buying your son this Christmas, and they're just chatting about what they bought last year. So all this whole chatter, this whole talk is sort of part of the Christmas spirit that builds up to the point where they eventually get the fervor is up and they're ready to celebrate Christmas, which is a religious holiday, but it is also very secular in terms of it's a commercial holiday, highly commercial, and we don't want to undermine Christmas for them. It is their religious holiday, even though the birth of Isa Islam was not on the 25th of December. It was somewhere in October, my recollection, but I may be wrong there. But in any case, that's when it's celebrated, and there may be a khilaf in their religion also about when he was born. But so you understand the point I'm trying to make here is that in Pakistan or in Muslim countries, I'm wondering if we have the same amount of fervor and enthusiasm and spirit and talk as we see in our colleagues and our friends and our Christian brethren here in any Christian country. But there is clearly a lot of talk about Ramadan. There's no doubt that even in Rajab we start getting excited about it, and when Shaban comes, we are really excited about it, and we start talking about fasting in Shaban, and encouraged to do that in the initial part of Shaban, and not very close to the starting of Ramadan, because you want to have a bit of a gap between Shaban and Ramadan. But in any case, there is a lot of fervor, there is a lot of excitement, and there should be. But the topic of my khutbah today is some more practical planning, and we do all plan to some extent, but there's a saying: if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, which means that if you really don't plan properly, there's a chance that you may not really do as well as you could have if you planned properly. So, and that is why, in addition to the spiritual fervor that is building up in all of us as the month of Ramadan approaches, and today is the 3rd, and it's around the 23rd of this month, so 3 weeks from now, inshallah, and may Allah allow us all to see Ramadan. It's still 23 days. It's very sad that last year, a very close friend of ours lost their son, who was the Hafiz of Quran, just a few days before the Ramadan, and he was in his 20s. So it's not a guarantee for anybody, but we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to all give us long lives and allow us to see multiple Ramadan in the coming years. So I thought I'd just talk about preparing for Ramadan from the practical point of view, even talking about the type of the food we should eat or not eat, but trying to cover as much as I can. So, to plan is sunnah. The Prophet ﷺ planned, he was an amazing planner. He planned everything beautifully, perfectly, because everything he did was perfect. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he planned his hijrah incredibly. Without that, it would have been a disaster because they were ready to get him. So planning is sunnah, and we should do that. We should plan. And I mentioned initially, the first point is fasting in Shaban. We should try to do that. And not to burden ourselves, but just to get into the spirit. It is a sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ to fast in Shaban. And so we should try, we can do Mondays, Thursdays, and we're getting close to the 3 white days, which is the 14th, 15th, and the 16th of Shaban. You can fast those 3 days, or you can do Mondays and Thursdays, or Thursdays, whatever. But just to get into the spirit of fasting, we should start to get the flavor of Ramadan. And then stop fasting closer to Shaban because we want to put a gap there and then hit Ramadan running. In terms of nutrition, I want to talk about how we should be eating now because it is really important to get into Ramadan feeling fit. It's very important to get into Ramadan feeling healthy and being healthy. And I, as a gastroenterologist, I see this. What we eat is essentially translates into how we feel, and our health is absolutely critically dependent on what we eat and how we eat. And so, yes, we may have general good health, but we can have swings of up and down just based on how we eat. And so, we eat poorly. You can actually have 2 or 3 bad days after you have a bad meal. I mean, I see this all the time. If you didn't indulge and if you really don't eat well, you get sick. You might get sick from food poisoning, but you might just get sick from a very common condition called acid reflux disease. So, the point is, be careful about your diet leading into Ramadan. Also, we'll talk about how we should eat in Ramadan, but be careful about your diet leading into Ramadan. So even from now, if you have bad habits, what are the bad habits? Drinking a lot of hot, okay? Eating a lot of fried foods, very greasy, oily foods, but soda, pop, desserts, candy, all these things are very unhealthy for you. So try to start weaning yourself off pop, soda, if you are consuming that, because not only is it absolutely dead calories, but the sugar in that is very bad for us. I cannot tell you how devastating it is for our body to consume, if you're having 1 or 2 cans of soda, which a lot of people do, is a whole 1 full cup of sugar. And it's the type of sugar that enters straight into the bloodstream, goes to the liver, and it causes a lot of inflammation throughout the body. And so you just feel tired and just down. But if you eat Coke, you're getting the caffeine buzz, but you're actually not really doing any service to yourself. So long story short, if you're drinking a lot of soda, start weaning yourself off the soda. If you're drinking a lot of coffee, start getting down on the coffee. You don't want to get into Ramadan and be having horrible headaches starting Ramadan. So start weaning the caffeine, whether it's soda caffeine or coffee caffeine or tea caffeine. 1 cup of coffee, fine. You can get into Ramadan, have that 1 cup of coffee for sahur, no problem. But there's people who drink half a pot of coffee a day, 4, 5, 6 cups of coffee a day. That's going to hurt you when you make that transition from drinking 5 cups of coffee to 1 cup of coffee in the morning. So, it's really common sense. But people sometimes don't think that way. They don't plan that way. So, try to clean up your diet now. Get rid of, the things that you know are not good for you and start eating well. What can you start eating? More fruits and vegetables, more eggs, more fish. Just eat from the earth, whole foods, and get away from preservatives and additives and all those things. So, first 2 things. Number 1, nutritious diet. Number 2, let's swing to the spiritual aspect of it, and we'll come back to that. A very important thing that we do in Ramadan is we make du'as. We make a lot of du'as, we make du'as behind the Imam, but we also have our own du'as. We get up in the morning for tahajjud, and we, tahajjud is as I call it, prime time in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The best thing you can do is to wake up 10-15 minutes before the time of suhoor and just offer 2 units times 2 of tahajjud if you can. And make the niyyah that from the beginning you're going to start doing that, because just imagine, when you hit the last end of Ramadan, you've already been doing tahajjud all those days. And I'm the first one to admit that it's not easy. Our work schedule are tough. My work schedule is tough, but if we adjust our work schedule somehow and we can get up 10-15 minutes, because sleep is really precious. It's still not winter Ramadan, although it's getting easier and easier and easier. And in the winter, the nights are long and the days are short, so then tahajjud becomes very easy. But at this time, you still don't get all your sleep. So sleep is at a premium. But if you can try to do that, so try to memorize du'as, because this is our communication with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is our talk, our correspondence, our one-on-one time with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So go to Muslim du'as, the du'as of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and try to look at them. Look at the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has some beautiful du'as that he has left for us. Try to look at them, try to memorize them or read them often enough so that you kind of know the type of du'as that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to make, and so you can sort of emulate those. And there's nothing better you can do than to do sunnah du'as. So try to spend more time now learning du'as. The third thing we can do, or the fourth thing we can do, is to start to increase our time with the Quran. We talk about Ramadan being the month of the Quran, of course, and there's a lot of emphasis in it, and there's no question about the fact that we need to spend more time with the Quran in Ramadan, with the Tarawih experience, and also on your own at home. But let's pick up the pace now. So if you're not in the habit of reading the Quran on a daily basis, even 5 minutes with the Quran right now is better than 0. Or if you are in the habit, if you're doing 1 ruku, you can do 2. So just try to increase your time with the Quran, increase your understanding and reading of the Quran. And I was thinking that this would be a really nice thing to do, and inshallah, we should try to do that, is take the English Quran, the one that's very famous, it's all over the place, and try to, in the next 3 weeks, just read cover to cover, just the English Quran. And because as you do that, you formulate like this whole big picture of the Quran in your mind. And as you're doing the Tarawih behind the Imam, it really, you kind of go along with what is being said, and that really will impact your experience. So even if you can't read the English translation, or I should say whatever your native language is, for those whose native language is not English, I apologize. So whatever your native language is, read the Quran in your native language, experience it cover to cover if you can in the next 21 days, so that you have already gone through the meaning of the Quran. Of course, there's no perfect translation. You can never get the exact gist and the meaning, and the translation is always a translation. But try to do that, and that would be a really good thing to do, a practice to do. The next point I wanted to mention is one of a very famous hadith of Rasulullah is that those who are among those who are the most favorite or best in the